everyone. Welcome back to the Midwest Fresh Podcast. I am Callie Estrada, and today I am joined with a new co-host, Ashley Casper. She is our in-office operations manager and social media extraordinaire. So super excited to have her. Erica is out busy selling houses, so I forced Ashley to sit down in here. She's actually duct taped. You guys just can't see that. And then I'm also joined with a super special guest with you're just like a socialite in Wichita. Like, I feel like you're just everywhere. Every day I'm on Instagram, I'm like, where's Andy? It's like a game. It's like, where's Waldo? But it's
I feel
where
like
Andy.
Everyone I work with says the same thing sometimes.
But so we're joined with Andy McFayden with WSU Tech. What's your official title? WSU
Executive Director of Strategic Communications at WSU Tech.
Okay. Oh, fun.
Ooh, official.
That's really
sounding.
official. But I am really close with several of the people at WSU Tech in that he is kind of in charge of. Well, they might be more in charge of you than you're in charge
Probably.
of them.
That is probably very accurate.
But yeah, so if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and kind of what you do.
Sure. Again, my name's Andy McFayden. I'm the Executive Director of Strategic Communications at WSU Tech. I've worked for the college this is somewhere around my 14th year of being at the college. And my background essentially is I've had about 22 years in higher education in regards to my employment. So
you started at age 5?
Pretty much. Thank you so much. That's very flattering. So actually, I was graduated from high school at Derby, go Panthers, in 1997, and it's a really interesting story. The current president at WSU Tech, Dr. Sherry Utash. So I graduated from high school in 97, went to school at Cowley College. I got my associate's degree from Cowley. Before then, I transferred to Wichita State University, which is where I got my bachelor's degree in management information systems there at the college. And that spring semester, so I guess that would have been January-ish of 1998, Sherry hired me as her college work study. And so I basically all my part-time jobs were like customer service at the bowling alley, theatrical services, places like that. And it was really my first glimpse into higher education, into like what happens behind the scenes. And I quickly fell in love with the whole idea of moving a career in that direction. And so I've worked for Sherry for about 22 years now. So just followed her around. She's an amazing mentor and boss, and I love working at the college. But really worked for Cowley College for about probably, I'd say, 8 years or so. So I was the dude handing out brochures in high school gymnasiums, so I'm sure we all had ran across those people. So I did that for a long time, worked in student services for a long time, and then her and I moved to Wichita Area Technical College at the time. And so we began a journey there, and then we recently, about 4 years ago, I guess, affiliated with the university and rebranded as WSU Tech. So about 22 years in higher ed. I'm from North Carolina originally, but I moved here when I was in the 4th grade. My stepdad is in the military, and so that brought us to Kansas, which I'm so grateful for. There's just so much opportunity here, and it continues to increase, and our community is growing and doing fantastic things. And so that's how I got to be here.
That's so cool. I feel like I'm always like, is Andy even still with WSU Tech? Because you're always at all these events, and you're on several boards for nonprofits here in Wichita. So do you want to kind of talk about kind of like your philanthropic involvement in Wichita? So
a part of my role at the college is community engagement and a lot of networking. And obviously one of our main goals is to make sure that we are meeting business and industry need here in Kansas, and making sure that we are recruiting and getting people to move here, to get trained to work here and stay here and live here. It's an amazing place. And so I do volunteer quite a bit. So I'm on several boards. The board I've been on the longest is Dress for Success Wichita, which is a pretty common organization in town. Dress for Success just affiliation is a theme in my life these days. It just affiliated with the Women's Network. And so the Women's Network serves domestic violence survivors, and we employ the ladies there. And so it's a pretty sheltered environment. And so like about 2 years ago, we made the decision that it would be good if we worked together as entities together so that the more ladies at risk at the Women's Network could transition once they're standing on their own 2 feet into more support services with Dress for Success, because we have Saturday Success meetings where we have them come in monthly, and it just lots of great services we provide to the ladies there. So love that. I'm on the board for the Kansas African American Museum, an amazing organization. We're getting ready to move to another location, and so the museum is growing and it's thriving and it's very successful right now. And so also I'm the board chair this year for the Derby Education Foundation. I grew up in Derby, went to Derby High School, so I kind of got reconnected in the community there in Derby. So I'm the board chair for the Derby Education Foundation, and I bell ring it with the Salvation Army in the holidays with my best friend Kara, and we get into all kinds of crazy fun adventures with that, and just going to anything I can to support in Wichita. I love Wichita so much.
Yeah, I feel like you're the number one choice for everyone to MC their events, and you just bring so much light to any room that you're in, and it's just always great to see you out and about, and I just always enjoy my Andy hugs and selfies.
Well, thank you so much. I think it's really easy to it's really easy to get involved in Wichita. I mean, there are so many fantastic organizations. If I could clone myself and make 4 more of me so I could be more involved with other organizations, I would totally do that. I just think that there's so much positive and progressive movement here in town that there's no lack of opportunities to give of your time and resources as well. So it's super fun.
For sure. So let's kind of move into maybe WSU Tech.
Sure.
Kind of your role there, what kind of your day-to-day looks like, running around, running amok through that school. So
Sure. So my team and I at the college, we're responsible for basically the advertising, marketing, and public relations activities of WSU Tech. And that's really putting it really simply. So we really, marketing is in everything. So we have a grants department where we're bringing on new grant opportunities and initiatives for students, and everything that we do needs to be branded and consistent, and so that our student experience is consistent throughout whatever services they decide to take at the college. So we're growing a lot. Enrollment numbers just came out for fall, and everyone at the college is working so hard. We have amazing faculty and staff who do everything they can on the daily to help our students succeed so they can get out in the world, earn a chance for a better life for themselves and their families. And that's, I could probably go on hours and hours for that. But we have a little over 100 different degree and certificate programs that we offer that boils down to about 40 or so different majors. And so we are spread all over Wichita. The new campus, we're prepping Niche, the National Institute for Culinary and Hospitality Education, that will be opening hopefully this upcoming spring semester downtown. We just announced yesterday we're launching these Future Ready centers that are training hubs inside of USD 259. So they're like little mini campuses.
Oh, cool.
So if you're familiar with the Dillons, where the Dillons used to be by North High.
Yes.
So we're moving into that facility, and we are so fortunate that we received one of the ARPA grants from the city of Wichita to renovate and provide equipment in that area. So it's a hub for manufacturing training for USD 259 students. Then we'll have a healthcare version of that at our South Campus at Harry and Hillside.
Okay.
And then we will actually have a campus that's a part of Wesley Medical Center, essentially. And so those 3 will be hubs for healthcare and manufacturing, respectively, to train high school students. So they're coming out of high school with their high school diploma. Our hope is that they will graduate from high school, walk across the stage, shake Dr. Thompson's hand, get their diploma, walk off the stage the next night, come to the WSU Tech graduation, shake Dr. Utash's hand, get their industry credential, and then go to work or continue education or whatever combination of that might be. So we have a lot of cool initiatives going on, and my team and I are responsible for making sure that those are branded. We are, following all the guidelines we need to do. We're engaging the community with employers or students. Obviously, we want to talk to students in a little bit different way than we do our employer partners. And My team is so super talented. I can't even begin to explain the genius behind how they implement the strategies that we do at the college. So I like to think we're a little cutting edge on the bleeding edge of how we advertise opportunities to students. So we have a really big presence in, that TikTok world, Instagram, Facebook, all the social media. So I think we're a little more progressive than some of our peer institutions are. And so that really helps us have more of a conversational, approachable vibe to the college with students, and then you of course engage with employers too, and that's different in a little bit of a different way. But just there's so many great initiatives that Dr. Utash has and leadership team there at the college that we're implementing and pushing out, and just trying to make sure that we are doing as much as we can for students. We're very student centered, and then serving employers in the area as well. So it's super cool. We have about 40 majors, and I think that's one thing that's buoyed us through. We're coming.
That's a lot.
It is a lot. It is ranging from healthcare to welding to robotics to nursing to surgical technology to digital marketing. I mean, I think that it has really helped us stay more consistent and steady and weather the storm of the whole 737 MAX grounding COVID combo that I think some industries are still coming out of a little bit. It helped diversify us as an institution to get through those times. So it's really, really good in multiple ways. Of course, we want to serve as many, business and industry sectors that we can here in our area in the state of Kansas. But also that just gives students more opportunities to be whatever they want to be, and, have a reasonable amount of training that doesn't cost $1 bajillion, and you're not taking out student loan debt that is going to be burdening you when you do get done and you are making that paycheck that you kind of want to get to. So, it's a great place to be. It's very fast paced right now. Technical education, we were talking a little bit before we got started. Technical education, really, the image of it has changed over the last decade.
I think that you guys have definitely also spearheaded that image in Wichita as well, or even nationally, because you guys have been nationally recognized as, top technical college in Kansas, but also in the country. And you've had some really special, Dr. Sherry Utash has had some really awesome, I just fangirl over her. She's just such.
She's such an innovative leader. I think that she's A, inspiring, B, she sets clear goals for us, but then also says, okay, how wide of a lane do you need to get that done? Let's, if we hit hurdles, she makes sure that she helps us get over those hurdles to complete the goals and objectives that she has for the college. And, we have a fantastic board of directors that governs also the college. Right. So and those are all heavy hitter business and industry folks across the city, because we are serving them in regards to providing them talent so they can keep that here locally in Wichita. So it's, I think if you asked Andy 10 years ago some of the cool things that are happening right now, I'd be like, no way in heck, that's not even happening. I mean, it's things like this is our 4th year of being a Metallica Scholar institution. So we have been able to meet the band. They funded scholarships for students that train them, keep them right here in the Wichita area. And it's just insane the kind of cool collaborations we have. MicroWorks, Dirty Jobs.
It's like my mom's hall pass. She loves Micro.
Yeah, he's so amazing. And it's so, we partnered with their team, and we, our academics department has developed that work ethic certification, and we are the coordinating institution for all the schools doing it across the nation. And so it's these consistent opportunities that we take as they come along that I think, going back to that, consistency in time has really changed the kind of the image of technical education. I think people have a tendency to think, oh, they're dirty, grimy jobs. But, it only takes 2 seconds to be on campus or visit our website or visit our social media channels to see it's robotic dogs walking around. And I mean, on campus, legitimately, I will walk from my office to go talk to our dean of aviation or dean of manufacturing, and spots roaming the hallways, just a robotic dog walking around, just really cool things that prospective students can engage and play with to figure out, oh, by the way, there's a career in this. This is our 10th year participating in National Manufacturing Day. So the first Friday of October every year is National Manufacturing Day. And schools and employers across the nation open their doors to bring students in to explore. So we had several companies in town that participated this year, but this is our 10th year participating in it. And so we had 200 kiddos on campus last Friday, and we split them up in the groups, and they got to laser etch their name on little pieces of sheet metal. They would go to the sheet metal lab and buck rivets. So that's how they build airplanes. And oh, by the way, you can go work in this if you want to at Spirit or Textron or wherever you want to go, right? And so these cool, fun opportunities to engage students so they can explore. They're having fun. But really, at the end of the day, we're like, surprise, dad conversation. This would be a good career path for you to get into. You can
brilliant.
make a working wage. And they're like, it's just like exposing them to those things. I'll never forget one of the most memorable things for me when I started working at WATC at the time. I had been an advisor for community college for 8 years, so it's general education coursework and grade, and did all that. It's my first out of the gate role was to advise nursing students and automotive students. And so I didn't know what I didn't know until I started doing that, right? So for me, it's common hat to say, oh, well, that's sheet metal riveting. Well, I don't think a lot of people understand some of these great career fields they can get into that aren't necessarily like doctor, lawyer, physicist, whatever it happens to be, right? And so I think we also don't know what these roles are going to be like 5 years from now.
Everyone's roles changed just 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
So,
technology's increasing. It's data is increasing. So just the data that we commonly use to go turn our air conditioner up in the house, the data to that, like there's data everywhere. And I think we don't even know we're doing it, right? I spend a lot of time with my niece and my nephew, Lukey and Hanny, and I think that they will not know a time of not having a tablet in their hand or a phone in their hand. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I remember high school. It's like half electronic typewriter, half computer, because we couldn't afford both and we had to rotate halfway through the semester. Like technology is just, and as it grows, it just continues to amplify.
Yeah.
So we have all of these, I walk into our air conditioning lab at our city center campus downtown. And yeah, they're learning, all of the coolant and refrigeration and all of those things too. But there's this whole data analytics package part of their program that they do because these buildings all are rated on how, economically, efficient they are. I mean, in the housing market too, right? It's like, okay, you want houses that don't cost $1 million, like you want to save on heating and air, and the more smartly they're built, the less that's going to be on the consumer. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like that's what our students are learning, right? I mean, it's phenomenal. It just blows my mind, and it's changing all the time. And so, really, the opportunities are they're infinitely better than what they were when I was in school. And so it's a super place to be, cool place to be right now.
I mean, it wasn't even WSU Tech when I graduated high school.
Yeah.
So I didn't even really, I think I looked at WSU Tech a little bit because I was like, well, I guess back then it was Wichita
WATC.
Area, Wichita Area Technical College. But I don't know, in my head it was always like, it was like airplane. Like you think Wichita,
you think welding.
Yes.
You think aviation.
Yeah.
But also part of our job.
But I look on your like your list of all of your certifications and stuff, and I'm like, interior design, that's kind of cool, or like textiles and all kinds of really cool things you can do.
It's crazy, and I think once you look at career fields in those areas, let's take interior design for example. I mean, yes, do we have people going and doing residential interior design, or they're working at like Star or something like that where they are helping clients and contractors and doing all of it? Great. Can they go use textiles and work designing interiors of airplanes? Yes. I mean, like the flexibility within industries on skill sets are are more than what we think they are on the surface. So like what you were saying, you're like, oh, I thought it was just aviation, for example. Well, if you look at the aviation industry as an example, they have accountants, they have engineers, they have touch labor. So those are the people building the airplanes. They have executives that are doing marketing and HR and all these things. So all of these majors are also parts of bigger ecosystems, I guess.
Right.
And so there's just so many more opportunities out there with these to get your foot in the door, if that makes sense.
So you talked about how you just kind of got your numbers from the fall.
Yes.
How is enrollment looking?
So, it's really interesting. The Kansas Board of Regents released their every fall. It's like the Academy Awards. I don't know. It's every fall they basically, every state institution, we report our numbers and they do a press release. And, there are reports and studies that look at the numbers of college age basically college attendees over the next decade or whatever.
Right.
And the college population that's eligible to go to school is going down. So we have less people going to college. So we need to be doing relevant things and making sure that those opportunities are meeting business and industry needs. So I think the state of Kansas is somewhere like a 1.9%. It's a very slight decrease overall from year to year. But Wichita State University and WSU Tech, we both had enrollment growth this year. So we're bucking this trend of downward trending 5-year trends of enrollments because of the relevant things that we do. So obviously the nature of tech ed is that it's hands-on, but a big underlying thing for both the university and WSU Tech is this applied learning experience. So we want all of our students to have some sort of applied learning, whether it's paid or unpaid or internship or whatever form that takes. There's a lot of ways that can take shape, but getting people their foot in the door doing some actual work, meeting employers, that type of thing, getting one step closer to landing the job and meeting people before they're done with their degree.
Yeah.
Heck, we have our sheet metal program, for example. We have aviation industries that are coming out. That's like an 8 to 10 week program. We have aviation folks, HR people coming to campus and interviewing them like day 3. So then that way, if they do well, they're working their way through their HR processes.
Oh,
so
yeah.
then they can walk right into that,
That's amazing.
into the door. And college is just it's so unique because there's 1,000 ways to do it, and no way is wrong. Like get the training, whatever it takes. We're big fans of this stackable credentialing, and we want students to get on-the-job experience as quickly as possible. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of the NIR Works MRO thing that just launched on South Oliver. They're like taking those 777s that are people freighters and converting them to cargo freighters, So the students are ripping out all the chairs and all of the interior and making it like into a cargo freight plane.
That's so cool.
So we have a special program called Get to Works and at WSU Tech where we are marketing in a 50-mile radius or more outside of Wichita for students to come day 1, be employed at the MRO at NIR Works, working day 1, starting your aviation maintenance class at the same time. It's a 3-year program if you do it like that. So those students are getting a paycheck, they're earning their education, and then they're getting tuition assistance at the end of every semester so they don't have any student loan debt. So I think, as education progresses, we're going to be doing more of those outside of the box ways to offer training, I guess, for lack of better terms. And so those innovative applied learning, employment day 1 types of training styles, I think, are what really making gains for WSU Tech. So
absolutely. And it's funny because you said you love like, you know, like people that are stacking and continuing their education with you guys even after like their first certification or graduation or whatever it may be. Like Ashley always says, she's like, if I could go to school and not have to pay for it anymore, I would continue to go to school.
Well, and it's a reality, right? So whether you are taking a formal type of school type of thing, if you're employed, like, I mean, we're all learning all the time, trying to get better, learn the latest and greatest things. You know, my team just got back from a great conference. It's Traffic and Conversion Summit. And it's this giant mecca conference it's really geared a lot towards, I would say, companies that like sell more hard, I guess, products. We kind of gravitate to those types of methods because they're very efficient and trendy and bleeding edge when it comes to inside the education world, right? So, you know, we're the ones that if you visit our website and you look at the welding program but don't fill out an application for admission, you know, we've all put that one thing in your cart, right? And it's like, oh God, I'm getting ads again for the blazer that I was going to buy for the Be Inspired ball coming up, and I didn't buy it. You know, it's like same thing with education, right? So you know, Mandy and Kennedy and Rebecca and Caitlin and Emily, and Angie, they're all constantly learning these new things all the time to bring back and be smart about the way that we get in front of our, you know, our students, our prospective students. And so, you know, we have to stay sharp at our skills. And so the stackable thing is the same way, like, right? Like people are going to go to work, you know, you're going to have this professional development your whole life, you know, and you should be learning more and growing. And that's how we stay, you know, cutting edge and front of mind with things like that. So
do you have, talking about kind of enrollment, do you have like, is there a percentage that you know like that are straight out of high school or even people coming in like later education?
Funny you should ask that. So yes, so we look at a lot of factors in regards to the things that affect our enrollment, and of course going back to that data conversation, like we know what employers are needing from us. I mean, that's a constant conversation that our academics department is really having with all of the employers, because we want to make sure we're aligning that training to meet that need, right? And so we're monitoring all those things all the time. And so that's whether that is, you know, whether that's like an ethnicity or a gender, or, you know, like we want more males in nursing, you know, we want more females in welding, you know, like we know that we want to there are areas where we can diversify and make sure that we are doing a better job of being inclusive for audiences across the board, right?
Absolutely.
And so we try to take all that data to help us make, you know, smart decisions on how we're talking about the things that we offer and where we're talking about the things we're offer. So, you know, it's like Mandy's always like, you know, right message, right time, right place type of scenario. It's like we always talk about this. And so it's just making sure that we're staying focused on those things, because all of those things culminate in enrollment growth. You know, I think the university's ups, don't quote me on this, I think it's like somewhere between like 5 and 6%, and we're up like 3.9, like 4%-ish. And so, you know, they're just as mindful of those things as well. And so we're just very thoughtful, and we want to make sure that we are out there as much as possible for and inclusive as we possibly can be. So yeah, we look at all of those things, and even down to returning adults versus the traditional high school student graduating from high school. So we have put a lot of efforts into our returning adult population this past few years, and we're seeing some gains in that too. So, you know, of course, the economy really, really affects that when it comes to, you know, all of the COVID and layoffs and things like that were happening. And so people have to feed their families. People just cannot stop providing for themselves and their families to go get an education either. So we have to be nimble with that too, and understand that, you know, a majority of our student population has to work while they're going to school. So, you know, our academics department is really good at doing what they can to make sure that we are being as flexible as possible, and then also providing what we call wraparound services for students if they hit a bump along the way. Like, we want to help make sure they get over that so they can still stay in school and, retain and graduate and be successful along the way. So yeah, we look at all of those types of things. There's some things that really, really are headwinds in various areas. One of which is in the state of Kansas, it's really cool. If you're a high school junior or senior, there's a thing called Excel and CTE. So if you're a high school junior or senior, you can come to WSU Tech and take free technical education classes while you're in high school. So we have that has really grown our high school, our dual concurrent population that are still in high school, getting those credentials earlier, and us crafting more opportunities for those dual concurrent students earlier so they can come out with a credential by the time they get done, or some credit. So It minimizes their after graduation education time or whatever. So, there's a lot of cool opportunities out there that they continue to grow. And those things have all helped our enrollments along the way.
So you talked about kind of your newest portion of WSU Tech, which is niche. Mm-hmm. What is that going to look like? What all is that going to include?
So, the college is growing a lot, and we're always looking at new programs, evaluating the programs that we offer, how we package those up and deliver them, and what kind of methods we do. So that campus is going to be fantastic. Obviously, it's the old Henry's building. Mm-hmm. I think everyone in this room is too young to know what that is. So, Google it or something. But so it used to be the department store that, the Macy's department store, mm-hmm. that everyone would go. It's like they would decorate those windows for Christmas time. It's that whole vibe.
It's at the intersection. It's at Market
and Broadway.
Broadway. Okay.
So it's right just to the south of the Ambassador Hotel, and so. That building is sat vacant for years and years and years, for a long time, for as long as I can remember. Yeah. And so Sherry had some conversations, and she, as we continue to grow, it's kind of like you're doing these things in little steps, right? And so the middle 2 floors of that building will be for our hospitality and culinary programs for classrooms. So they'll have classroom space, obviously the kitchens. They'll have a cool cooking amphitheater, so that when we get to the point, we can bring VIP chefs in and
I want to take this
and teach our students, or do demos for the community or whatever happens to be. So it'll be a really bougie amphitheater, cooking amphitheater, so you can kind of see what they're doing up on the screens and things like that. And then on the lower level, there'll be a restaurant, and then there'll be a food hall, but then there's a formal restaurant that will open first, and then there'll be a food hall in there with multiple vendors. And I feel like the classroom space is probably going to come first, then paired with the food hall and things like that. And on the roof, we've built a half of a level on top of the building. And so it will be an event space. So if you have an anniversary party, or there's a wedding, or don't quote me on this, I think it's 300-ish people, maybe a little bit more than that, it could seat up there. So the thought is our culinary students getting a hands-on, that applied learning opportunities mixed in. So
they'll be working in some of that first floor food hall?
Right. So or catering for events and things like that. The food hall will probably have food hall vendors that are formalized, running their own companies type of scenario. And then there'll be the restaurant down there, and then the event center on top. And so we also have on that first floor, if you walk, you can see it now. You can peek in the windows and see it. So if you're walking down Broadway towards Douglas, and you look into the windows on Broadway, there are these really beautiful this industrial kitchen equipment that's on brand. My heart loves it. It's like this. It's like yellow on school. It's like yellow and this steel, and it's beautiful. So we are fortunate to partner with Envision. So you're familiar with Envision. Mm-hmm. So they will have they'll be the Envision Innovation Kitchen and Bistro. So in that kitchen, they will be teaching blind and visually impaired students to cook, and then eventually the idea would be to hopefully have them serve
Yeah.
and sell and stuff like that in there. So hopefully grow it. But we are just so blessed to have our partnership with Envision there too. There's so many partners that are coming on board as a part of that facility in a million and one different ways. And so we can't do the work we do without our employer partners. And so you'll see some of that coming out as we approach. And, we're getting this close to
You said that'll be spring?
Our hope is spring. Supply chain issues are just a thing, right? It's like, oh, who would have guessed that you have issues getting elevators or air conditioning or whatever over the last time frame.
Especially a building that old, I can only imagine that it needs.
And it will be registered with the historic.
Cool.
So it'll be the exterior. I mean, it's going to look like Henry's on the outside. On the inside, it's so cool. It's very trendy and a lot of glass and things like that, so people can see what's going on in there.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. It's going to be so cool, especially working downtown. I'm sure you're going to probably, once you get all the vendors in, there's probably going to be pretty busy. And
it will be great. And, it's really a big part of the activation of that block because, you've got the DO school and you're going to have niche, and it's kind of that block, that area is being like revived a little bit more than what it has in the past.
So cool. I guess kind of my last question would be, what is something that you guys are asking for as WSU Tech from the community?
Oh, I think really just what we want to do is be of service to the community. At the end of the day, our students are our number one focus. That's it. You know what I'm saying? So, if employers have needs, come to us. We want to make sure we're doing what we can to serve our employers in the area. We have a huge, obviously, we have students from all over and all walks of life, right? So I guess, the college is growing. If you have friends or family members that are, need training, it's such a unique place to get education because it's about as instant gratification as you can get when it comes to investing on your education, and no one can take your education away from you, right? And so we have a very intangible product that we sell, right? And so, but there's what comes along with that for me is like hope. And my favorite time of year, I'm not a sports ball person. I don't do Super Bowl or whatever the sports ball things are. My Super Bowl is graduation every year.
Oh my gosh, I love looking at your social media
and watching the students
graduation
walk across the stage. And it's, we just have such a great inclusive group of graduates, and our student body's amazing. And they're just, it's great to see people see gains in their own lives in such a short amount of time. I think oftentimes people come to us and they're like, oh, I can't do college. Or I don't know if college is for me. Take that step and try it. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's just so many opportunities. You can't go wrong.
Yeah. Anything from you?
As far as the students and adults that are interested in WSU Tech, what would you recommend as their first steps?
What I would say is, definitely head up our website. So wsutech.edu. We have so many majors, but we have a really, really clean. Angie has really set up a clean website that's easy to navigate, to find the information you're looking for, schedule with an advisor, come take a tour, check it out. We have so many campuses now, and we have students that are even taking general education courses in their high school at, I don't know, North High, where they're English 101. They're taking English 101, but it's their English teacher teaching it, and they're WSU Tech students, right? And so I think really the first step is if you feel like it's time for you to make a change or you want more information, website, of course, we're on all the socials, right? So go check it out. If you want to see some cool visuals of kind of what we do in the classroom, and a lot of that can be found on social media, YouTube, TikTok, things like that, where we have a lot of video and just content that you can explore. But yeah, just check us out. Our advisors are just super cool. I just love the structure we have available to students because it's, we're we're going to walk you through that process, right? We are the biggest technical college in the state of Kansas, and so I think that's a pretty, mind-boggling thing just to think about. But also at the same time, approachability is important. So students at WSU Tech, you won't be in a classroom of 300 people. That's just not going to happen, right? You're going to be in a classroom of about 25 people max. So we take pride in that one-on-one. And so if we get more people, we're going to open another section with another teacher. And, we take a lot of pride in that one-on-one with our students. And so I think sometimes really, I guess you asked me what I would like. I think don't hesitate to engage with us. College is intimidating, can be intimidating, but we're here to help you with that process, whether it's filling out your FAFSA, doing your application for admission, helping you figure out what you want to do. Like, it's okay to be undecided. People think that that's such a tragic thing. I'm like, I change my mind on so many things on a million, what I'm saying, in a million ways. Thankfully, in my role, I get to do a lot of different things every day. So that kind of helps curb that, right?
Right.
And so I think if you're an undecided individual too, I think it's important that you visit with someone and get started. Look at the options. Let us show you around. Sometimes you don't know what you don't know until you look at it. So yeah, just come visit us.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Andy, for coming on the podcast. This has been so much fun and just learning a little piece of what WSU Tech is about and what you guys do.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you both for having me. It's an honor. I was really excited when you asked me. I'm like, yes, I will. I was like, yes, for sure, 100% for
yes.
sure. So I just appreciate you having me here today.
Yes, we will definitely be checking out the niche. And
yeah, when we have the ribbon cutting, I will make sure you and your team get an invitation.
Because I am for sure going to be hitting up that.
We would love to have you join us.
Yes.
So.
And thank you, everyone, for listening in to our podcast. And thank you, Ashley, for filling in today. And we will see you on the next one.